Welcome to another episode with Empowerment with Dr. Lawrence. I am your host, Dr. Lawrence. Thank you for making us a part of your day. Wherever you're consuming this, however you're consuming this, I appreciate the fact that you're here. Well, guys, today we're going to be talking about anxiety, specifically how anxiety is affecting our lives. Now, in the past, if you've listened to this show at all, you know that we've talked about money has an impact on anxiety with chronic stress. But today we're going to dive deeper into isolation and what that actually means to us. How does that affect the body? And then we're going to be talking about what I call dopamine wars. So what are dopamine wars? I'm glad you asked. Dopamine wars are our improper relationship with food, our improper relationship with our cell phones and video games and Netflix. I mean, look, how many episodes are you going to watch? These things can rob us of our lives. Now, dopamine is a very vital function for our overall health, but when we consume it improperly, when we have these improper relationships, it affects us in a negative way. And we're seeing it all across the country. So we're going to dive in today, and I have the privilege and the honor of welcoming a very special guest. Now, she is a trailblazer when it comes to advocacy. She is Miss Louisiana Teen, Port City Teen. Let me say that again. She is Miss Louisiana Port City Teen, Miss Autumn Percival. Welcome to the show. Welcome to Empowerment with Dr. Lawrence. How are you today?
I'm doing so good. Thank you so much for having me today.
So tell me, look, so just fun fact, I follow you on social media and you are always doing stuff. So tell me exactly what Miss Louisiana Port City Teen is.
Yeah. So it's a local prelim to Miss Louisiana's Teen, which is a part of the Miss America's Teen opportunity. It's a scholarship pageant. So all of the women gain scholarships. I myself have gained over $5,000 worth in scholarships just competing in 1 year. And with the Miss Louisiana opportunity, all of the contestants have something called a community service initiative. And it's all about something that's really passionate, something that they're really passionate about, and, really gives them a drive to have something that really makes them want to fight for their communities. And for me, that's raising kids for a healthy future. It's my organization that I created, and it's all about empowering kids to make healthy lifestyle choices. So that eating healthy foods like fruits and vegetables, and encouraging kids to talk to their parents about their health history and also about their mental health, making sure that they are empowered in making those decisions about their mental health and making sure that they're prioritizing their mental health every single day. And also about getting that physical activity every single day, and that the benefits that just living a healthy lifestyle can have in general on their life.
That is amazing. So we have Pretty with a Purpose. So we're winning scholarships. So you said passion, and I think you can't be successful in life without passion.
Right.
I mean, passion is the foundation. It's the key ingredient. When I look at the data and I put on my scientist hat and I look at the data and I listen to the Surgeon General talk about how isolation has a negative effect on the body, so much so that it's the equivalent of smoking 15 cigarettes a day.
Wow.
And when you start looking at high schools today, they're introducing the yonder pouches to dissuade kids from using their cell phones and so forth. When you are out in the community and when you're working with, when you're advocating for mental health and you're advocating for overall health, what are you seeing with regards to isolation?
I think we're seeing more of an increase in children not just being connected with one another, having a hard time, looking each other in the eye and making personal connections. And even just speaking with their adults in their life, they have a hard time connecting with them. And I think with the increase of phones, the increase of iPads, we're seeing that there is a lack of that communication. And I think COVID is a lot of to blame for that, because I myself, I grew up, I didn't have my middle school experience because of COVID. And I think it did have a negative impact on my communication skills for a little bit. But the Miss America opportunity gave me a space where I could use my voice in a powerful way and have an impact on my community. But I think when I go into schools, I hope that they see me speaking and they see me being passionate about something, and that they find something that's in them and they use their talents towards increasing that and making sure that that's something that they're implementing in their entire lives. That way they can, it does improve your mental health as well, because we're making sure that they have something to live for and to strive for every single day.
Well, let me ask you this. Okay. So you're a teen, you're very accomplished. Okay. Good parenting, shout out to your parents, right? But you've done something to accomplish what you've accomplished. You had to put the phone down. Right. So what advice would you share with a mom that's struggling with a teenager that's locked in their room, they're isolated? What advice would you then, so it's a two-part question. Yeah. What advice would you then give to someone who has all these gifts bottled up inside and they want to get out there and release them?
Right.
Much like you.
Yeah. So I think it's really important to just start having conversations with your kids.
Okay.
Being open with them, just showing your support towards them and like how much you really care about them and that you love them. I think that that's a really important thing that parents often sometimes forget about, and it's good to have that relationship with them, especially at a young age. So I think as early as you can, implementing just having open conversations and dialogue, speaking with your child every single day when they come home from school, and asking them more than just how was school today. Have a really deep conversation every day. Talk about something that you learned that day.
Right.
What are some things that you could have done better today, and just being honest with each other, and you opening up to your child will help them want to open up to you as well. And to answer the second part of your question, I think as kids, we have social media at our fingertips. We have so much access to the internet. And so I think if you have all those talents bottled up in you, I think it's really important that you showcase that to the world, because you never know what could come of it. Social media, especially with TikTok, the algorithm is random. So you could end up on 1 million people's For You page and you have this incredible career in front of you. And so I think it's really important that we capitalize on that and, not take social media for granted, because I think it's a really important tool, and it's just an important tool to have to advocate for something that's important to you. And that's what I've done.
That's what you've done. So we're going to stay with isolation for a second. And I'm really enjoying this, and I appreciate the well thought out and articulated responses to these questions. That is something that's rare these days, because you go to the grocery store and people don't even, say hello when you want to check out. Right. But one of the negative effects of isolation, right? When I think of isolation and someone, pulling themselves away from society, the secondary effects of that are things like, weight gain and diabetes mellitus and so forth. And while that affects adults, particularly when they start working and so forth, that is, we're seeing unprecedented levels of obesity in children. And so you're all over the place. You're advocating for health. What are some of the things that you've seen work to try to help kids put the phone down and get out there and be active? Because when you think about dopamine, particularly, we talked initially about the negative effects of dopamine, but when you get out there and you exercise, when you tap into the creative genius that's within you, dopamine is almost a superpower.
Yeah, it is.
So what advice would you give to children to put those phones down? Yeah. People in general, because adults need that too.
Yes.
But what advice would you give?
So when I go into schools, I try to make the lessons very short and engaging. And I think that that's what social media is. It's short and engaging, and it gets your attention right away. And so me coming in as a young adult, being able to speak with young kids, I think it gives them a different perspective on it, and it makes them want to do it even more, and it encourages them. So just, being there for them, being open with them, and also just being relatable to them. Like I try to come in, and I'm not a perfect person. I may seem that I have all my things together and that my mental health is always there, but I do have my days, and also it's, sometimes I'm not exercising every day. Sometimes I do have to get fast food because life is moving so fast. So just being honest with them and, having that open dialect, and then also encouraging them to have those conversations with each other also makes them feel less alone, and we're preventing that isolation. And, it's really important to have those conversations about your mental health and be open about it, as well as having those conversations about your physical health. So that way we can encourage each other. With my lessons, I try to encourage them to, do partner exercises exercises. Let's do it together. Let's encourage each other.
Like
you
what?
know,
Give me an example.
Oh, like there's so many fun exercises. Like there's lunges that we do together. There's squats we can do together. We can hold each other's feet when we do crunches.
Wait. So you doing lunges and you started dancing. Are we talking about TikTok dancing? You gonna be out there TikTok dancing? Or we talking about legit exercise?
Yeah, and you know, I think line dances is something that I really want to start incorporating with my fitness classes, because they're so much fun and they're a great way to get your heart moving and pumping, and you know, to get that cardiovascular exercise is really important, because the number one killer in America is cardiovascular disease.
100%. And then so we have people isolating and they're not exercising for whatever reason, whether they're doom scrolling or they don't feel secure. Yeah. You're saying to find a partner. Right. An accountability partner.
Yes.
That is so huge, to have an accountability partner. So who's your accountability partner?
I think honestly, it's my dogs, because they are always begging to go walk outside. And if sometimes I'm so tired, like dead tired at the end of the day, but I'm like, let me just get up. It's only 30 minutes that I'm committing to myself and to my dogs. And, you know, we're just going to go out for this walk, because I want them to be healthy, but I want to be healthy too. Right. So they encourage me and they keep me accountable on walking every day.
I have a teacup Yorkie that thinks he's so Doberman picture. They have all this energy until so we try to walk around the neighborhood, and that first block is amazing and they're stopping and everything. And it can't, especially at the end of the day, it's like, I don't really want to do this. But when you do, you know, it is time to almost reset. Right. It's time to go into, you know, figure out what am I going to do this next day, and, you know, collect your thoughts around your goals and so forth. So it is so important.
Yeah, it's a form of self-care.
100%.
It's showing up for yourself every single day.
So we're talking about exercise. We're talking about accountability partners. We're talking about being present, right? When I look at dopamine wars, and the number one thing that we see when someone is having a prolonged bad day, so when it becomes a clinical issue, is their sleep is off. And so, you know, when we have the 24-hour news cycle, we have, you know, I mean, if I get on Instagram and I'm looking at something and I'm laughing, I'm doom scrolling, and I'm thinking it's 30 minutes, but it's like 3 hours, and I've sat there on the couch. It impacts your sleep. And what we know is that those lights, I liken it to the casino where they have all the bright lights and they want to keep you locked in. But the lights on the phone are wired to increase adrenaline. Yes. And so it's hard to go to sleep. Right. We oftentimes suggest to people that they should not be on that phone at least an hour before they go to bed. And that allows, you know, the natural systems of the body to take place, and then they can come in and have meaningful sleep. Right. You know, you're busy. You're doing all kind of things. I mean, you're a scholar. You have goals. You're advocating for people. Tell me about your sleep.
To be honest, sometimes it's not all the way there, especially right now, since the Miss Louisiana competition is coming up very quickly. Okay. You know, I'm constantly thinking about so many things, and that anxiety can keep you up at night. But one thing that's always helped me to go to sleep and like to just relax is writing everything down in a journal. Journaling. I love it. Because or just making a list of things, right? Journaling, talking about your feelings, and, you know, just having that place where you can vent, or just talking to your friends, you know, just any way that you can get some of that pressure off yourself. And then also it's asking other people for help. Okay. I feel like a lot of the times in our society, we're taking, you know, everything, and we're trying to do so many things at once, but it's okay to ask for help. And, you know, it's okay to not be okay. And you can tell each other that, you know, and I think that's a really important thing. And with sleep, I know myself, I try to limit my screen time about 30 minutes before, you know, I go to bed, because it actually reduces melatonin in your brain, that hormone. So it is affecting you. And that's something that I have talked to kids about. We have something like a spinning wheel. I actually just recently went to a Black wellness event in Baton Rouge, and I had a wheel and all the kids were spinning it, and one of the things that were on there was sleep, and I was asking them honest questions. How much sleep do you think you should be getting every night? And
what are they saying?
they're like, I don't know, I'm probably not getting enough sleep, but I don't know what to do. So it's about, encouraging each other. And I think also the parents getting involved, taking those phones away, reducing their screen time,
That can start a war.
Yeah,
that can start a war.
I know. I don't like it if my mom takes my phone away, but if you're empowering them to make that choice, they're more likely to do it. So
100%.
you may have to take it at first, but giving them that control of this is the effect of that, showing them options is a really important thing too.
Especially when it's perceived as coming from a place of love.
Yes.
And so when you have improper sleep, and this we're gonna talk a little domino effect.
Right.
Okay, painting the picture here. We don't sleep well, and we get up. As adults, the first thing I'm doing is I'm going to Starbucks and I'm getting a nitro cold brew, and that's like espresso on top of espresso,
Right.
and I love it. I down it and I'm sitting up here shaking, and I loving life, right? And then at 12 o'clock, I need another one. Right. Well, that's not healthy because, that's a chemical. It has a life cycle. It's going to process through your body.
Exactly.
And then, come 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night, you should be going to sleep, and you're like, you're wired.
Right, exactly.
What are you seeing with, student athletes and goal-oriented children, goal-oriented adults, people in general? If we're not sleeping, we're going to cope somehow.
Yeah.
What do you find, particularly as when you're advocating for wellness, what do you find is best received, the feedback that you're getting from the people in your audience? What is the
Right.
I mean, how can I ask this better? What is the feedback for how to cope with improper sleep?
Yeah, so I have been noticing an increase in a trend in energy drinks. And I think that that's something that really negatively impacts our generation because they're being faced with it, head on in a different way. Because with social media, we have these influencers who are getting these huge campaign and brand deals to advertise for this, these drinks that are full of calories, full of added sugars. We don't know what kind of chemicals they're putting in them. There's dyes in them. Some of them are banned in other countries in Europe. And so I think it's really important to educate people about the importance of, finding healthy coping skills and not those energy drinks because they are not good for you at all.
No, they're not.
And, they can also cause you to have a heart attack. And so when I go into schools, I tell the kids about that. And a lot of them, it's like a big shock because they think that an energy drink is supposed to it's not going to hurt me. It's just a little bit, but over time, they can really have a negative impact on your cardiovascular system and your pulmonary function. So I think it's really important to just educate them on that because they don't have the proper information, because social media is it's coming at them in so many different ways. And we have to give them the tools to make sure that they know to make the best choices for their lives.
So, love it. You like education. Education is a pillar to a lot of the work that I do, particularly in performance. And so what is an alternative to the energy drink?
Right. I think sleep is the best thing that you can do. Just getting recharged, resetting. And even if you didn't get that sleep the night before, a quick 15-30 minute power nap does it for me sometimes. Like probably after this, I'm going to take a nap and then I'm going to have so much energy to finish off my day strong. And I think that that's a really important thing to do is, to set that timer to just, taking brain breaks throughout the day. Sometimes it's really important to just take a minute for yourself and prioritize yourself.
I call those tiger snoozes, and those can recharge your battery. But if these energy drinks are loaded with sugar, and they're loaded with sugar, what is a natural alternative for somebody that may have a little sweet tooth? That's not as diabolical and harmful to the body as an energy drink. What would be a healthy alternative to one of those sports drinks?
I think, finding recipes that you like, making it at home is, I think, the best thing because even when you're buying things that say organic, they say healthy, they say low sugar, they do still have a lot of chemicals and harmful things and ingredients in them and dyes and things that we just don't know what it's going to do to our bodies in the next 30 years. We don't know. And there's a lot of ingredient. This is something that's a big thing with the CDC right now is getting those ingredients banned. But until then, I think it's really important to just get back to the basics. Fruits and vegetables are a great way to get that energy throughout the day and just finding recipes that are easy and simple for your life. Meal prepping, eating whole balanced meals are really important to give you that energy as well, because that's where your energy should be coming from. It should be coming from your meals, not
Correct.
a drink, not, anything special. So I think that that's really important. And there's really a lot of recipes. We have that information at our fingertips. Like I said,
ChatGPT.
Yeah. I use it all the time to find those recipes. And, through my social media, I actually just posted a video today on a protein popsicle. And so that's going to give you some of that energy that you may need.
A protein popsicle. Okay, you got to tell me about that now. So what's in this protein popsicle?
It's only 3 ingredients. So the first ingredient is whatever fruit that you like, and then Greek yogurt,
Okay.
which is a good source of protein, and then a sweetener like honey or monk fruit or stevia or whatever.
Gotcha.
So yeah.
Okay, so shifting gears a little bit. So I follow you on social media, and you're doing some amazing things, by the way. You recently had an opportunity to present some information at the Louisiana legislature.
Yeah.
So tell me about that experience. What were you talking about? Or tell the audience what you were talking about, and then tell us why it's important.
Yeah, so one of my great partners is Louisiana Center for Health Equity. With founder Alma Stewart, I was able to speak to the speak at a legislative hearing to the Women and Children's Committee for the Louisiana legislature. And it was awesome just to be able to talk to them about maternal health, which is a big issue in our nation right now,
Sure.
especially in the state of Louisiana. We have a lot of health deserts, and that means that there's a lack of health care for those women. And so also another thing that I talked about where my focus was that preconception health. So talking to those legislatures about what we can do as legislators and as community leaders to make sure that kids are equipped with the education that they need and empowered to make those healthy lifestyle choices at an early age, because a lot of the maternal health risks that we're seeing are 80% of the time preventable. So cardiovascular disease is one of the leading causes, as well as overdose. So teaching kids about the importance of healthy coping skills, not using drugs, about the importance of making sure that they're eating healthy foods and a balanced diet, as well as getting that exercise. We're lowering their risk of, having, when they are ready to have children, we're helping them be at the optimal health, so that way they are prepared to conquer
Physically,
that, and prepared to, physically have that child and have the best outcome, so that way they can raise a healthy baby, raise a healthy child, and then we have generations of healthy kids in our state.
So I see some politics in our future.
Possibly.
Possibly? Okay.
I would love to be, a representative, create those bills that are so important and necessary, to have our communities make sure that they're represented, because Louisiana is 30% Black, but we don't have that many representatives that
Sure.
are Black. And I think that that's a really important thing, to have your communities represented properly.
It is important for folks to see you, and that lets you know that it can be possible and achievable. And
Exactly.
that's an amazing thing. So you're really taking full advantage of your platform. It's impressive and amazing. I want to share something with you that you may not know. My organization is built on empowerment and freedom, right? And we're doing just that. So April 25th, we're having an event for mothers, so working mothers, young mothers, seasoned mothers. We're having an event, and we're going to be tackling anxiety in the 4 ways that it shows up.
Yeah.
So how does it show up within themselves? How does it show up in the relationships with their children? How does it show up in the relationships with their spouse? How does it show up at work?
Right.
And we're going to have a panel of professionals discussing these things, and we're going to have an open forum. I would love if you could be in attendance as a participant, for sure. But I would love for you to be set up and talk about the things that are passionate to you, because as the news goes out about this event, I can't think of a better person to come in and advocate for the health of women, the health of children, the health of all the people that deal with mental health. Is that something that you'd be interested in?
Yes, I would love to be a part of that.
Oh, you heard it here first.
We have to make sure that the family, it's a family mission.
It is a family deal.
And I think it's a really important thing to make sure we get the whole and family involved and, that's that accountability thing.
Yeah.
Making those lists together, making those charts. What are the ways that we can be healthy together? Let's go make a healthy meal. Let's go walk our dog, and we've done something healthy and productive for the day.
We've done something healthy and productive.
That's the things that I would like to talk about, at that. Thank you for inviting me. I would love to do that.
All right. Well, listen, it has been an honor and a pleasure to have you on my show. I would love that you come back as you develop and grow with the things how that you're doing. And you're doing a lot. Let me ask you this. How can people find you?
Yeah, social media is probably the best way to reach me. It's just at Autumn Percival, or you can do at Raising Kids for a Healthy Future on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and that's really the best way to reach me. I try to post every single day, or try to post as many times a week as I can, and I use my social media because I think it's the best way to reach our generation.
100%. So last thing, I'm an entrepreneur, and entrepreneurs meet unmet needs. That's my definition of an entrepreneur. You, at a very young age, stepped into entrepreneurship. Tell me about that. Where did that come from?
I think also just having those positive role models in your life. My parents were always a positive role model for me because they always worked hard for everything that they had. And they worked really hard for everything that I have now. And I think that that's something that's really important, taking advantage of those opportunities. And as teenagers right now, we have so much access to take control of our lives and what we really want out of our lives, because we can teach ourselves how to do anything online. We can use our social media to talk about the things that we're passionate about. We can sell things online. So I think that that's a really important thing that kids, just know about, is that you have all of that at your fingertips and you can achieve any dream that you want to. And, I was born with a disability. I was born with clubfoot, and that's something that made me fight harder, made me want to fight harder, because I had to work harder as a dancer. I had to work harder in the studio to be at the same level as all the other girls. And as a performer, as a musical theater performer, that's a really important thing to me as well. I had to work really hard for all of those things. I put in my 10,000 hours. And I think that encouraging kids at a young age and teenagers at a young age to find something that they're truly passionate about, use their talent, and see what they can do to make the world a better place.
I love it. So what you're talking about is not accepting any limitation. You put your goal paramount and you went and accomplished it.
Yeah.
That is hard to do.
It is.
Okay, so let's expand on that. Okay, I have a goal. I talk a lot about weight loss because that's something that's important to me. But any goal that you have is how are you able to channel that and keep that front of mind? Because I think that is something that, as we're talking about improving our health, as we're talking about improving our mental, if that's a goal, how are we able to channel that and keep that present, particularly amongst all the distractions that exist in the world?
Yeah, I think it's really important to just every year writing those goals down and truly making those resolutions come true. And I think it's also about setting attainable goals that that 100%. You can truly do.
100%.
Don't set that goal for yourself that you're going to go to the gym every single day, spend 2 hours in the gym, which is not necessary. Find simple things every day and just try to make it better and better and better, improving, and just say, I'm going to do 10 crunches every day. And then next week, you're going to do 20 crunches, setting those goals for yourself, holding yourself accountable and awarding yourself. I think it's a really important thing that we're always moving on to the next thing in America. We're always, we don't give ourselves we don't give ourselves enough chance to, to just really be proud of ourselves. And, I also think faith is a big thing for me too.
100%.
Just being grateful that God has given me so many opportunities. I wouldn't be able to do it without him, because he's the thing that keeps me accountable too, because he's given me all these opportunities. And, I think it's really important that I use my voice as a way to microphone his voice and just to amplify it, because I feel like he's given me this in my heart. And every time I do something like this, I just pray that he just allows him to just speak through me.
Yeah.
And that's why I truly believe, I think it's really important to just find a spiritual, even if you're not a spiritual or religious person, I think it's an important thing that kids have, is something that they can go back to and
that's bigger than them.
Have a foundation that's bigger than them.
Yep.
Yes.
100%. I can't think of a time in business that my faith wasn't needed and essential.
Right.
Because a lot of things, when you're a trailblazer and you're a pathfinder, you're doing things that no one's done before. So the advice may not be there. And so, what I find is that it centers me on the belief. What is my goal? What am I here for? What is my gift?
Yeah,
I talk a lot about gifts. Yeah, the big picture and your why. And those are the things that help push through when the distractions go away, but the obstacles come.
Right.
And that's any goal that you're going to face, whether it's running a business or trying to get promoted at work or trying to lose weight or trying to improve your health. When the euphoria settles down and the obstacles come, when the sugar cravings hit you, when you're tired and you don't want to go walk your dog, I feel that faith is the ultimate motivator. That conversation with God allows you to push through and achieve your goal, particularly when you can't.
Yeah.
And so, wow, that is amazing. That makes me even more appreciative of this conversation because, you're tapping into something that I believe is going to set you up for success for the rest of your life.
It will.
And it's good that people can see that because it is important. So, well, that is what we have today. I thank you for coming on the show with Empowerment with Dr. Lawrence. You've made me smile, and that's going to be funny to see this big old head smiling and everything. But thank you. And guys, listen, I want to piggyback on something that we're saying. This platform is about faith, empowerment, and freedom. Faith is a belief system. It's the, channeling the energy, the power that you have within you to accomplish the things that you want. Empowerment simply becomes the tools that you need to go and accomplish those goals. And freedom is a thought process. It's a state of being. And so we're committed to make sure that we are giving you the tools and ideas and considerations to help you live the life that you want to live. So that's all we have for today. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for spending time with us. And as always, share this with your friends. Until next time, it's Dr. Lawrence. Take care.